How long do you think it would take you to become a millionaire if you were able to invest £500 or dollars every month? Put your answer in the comments below. Being a millionaire is something that so many people aspire to be and say they'd love to have that much money. Well, if you know what you're doing and you're willing to take a little bit of risk along the way, it's actually surprisingly easy to obtain. So to show you how you can achieve a bank balance of £1 million, I've created the Millionaire Timeline. So let's jump right in. How it works is you choose an amount on the left-hand side. That's the amount you're saving and investing every month. And then you go along the top row to choose a yearly interest rate. And what is in the middle in these multicolors, that is the number of years at your chosen amount and interest rate that it would take you to reach £1 million or dollars or any other currency really. So for example, earlier I asked how many years you think it would take to reach 1 million if you were investing £500 or dollars every month. So if we go down here on the left-hand side to 500, that's our monthly investment. And if we assume a 10% yearly interest rate, so we're going to this last column here, you would have £1 million within 29 years. So let's say you're 20 years old, you would have 1 million by the time you're 49. Not bad, I'd say. And if you're able to invest £500 or dollars, whatever it may be, when you're only 20, then as you get older, you can probably even be investing more than that each month, and you'd even get to that magical 1 million mark even quicker. Now you may be thinking, how the hell do I make 10% a year? The reason I say 10% is because that's around the average return of the S&P 500 since its inception. However, if you don't believe me that it's possible to achieve these sorts of returns, let's take a look at a few examples. So here we have the Fidelity World Index Fund. Now, this is a fund which provides a globally diversified investment. It launched in 2014, and if we go down here and we go to the performance section, we can see that over the past 5 years, it has averaged a return of 11.9%. Now that means in some years it would have done better and in other years it would have performed worse. But over the last 5 years, it's averaged 11.9 every year. That's not over the 5 years, that's every year 11.9%. Another example, as I've already mentioned, the S&P 500 is a product by Vanguard. Now this tracks the S&P 500. And if we go to the price and performance section, we can see that since this fund launched back in 2012, it's averaged 16.19%. So again, some years it would have performed better, some years it would have performed worse, but since 2012, you could expect to have returned 16.19% every single year. Now, what does that really mean? If we go down here to this other graph, we can see that if you were to invest £10,000 back in 2012 when this first launched, you didn't put any more money in it, that $10,000 would now be worth $42,477. So I hope by looking at these examples, you can see that it definitely is possible to achieve these sorts of returns that I'm talking about. Now let's compare these to some of the percentages you see here in the first few columns, which might be more similar to the types of returns your bank would give you. That same $500, if you put that in a bank and say earn 0.3% a year, that means it would take you 135 years to reach 1 million pounds or dollars, whatever it may be. The oldest person to ever live only lived to 122. So it's essentially impossible to become a millionaire in one lifetime if you're putting 500 into your bank and earning this interest rate. But let's use a different example. Maybe you're not interested in making £1 million. Perhaps like many people, you're saving for your first deposit on a house and it just feels totally out of reach. Let's take the average property price in the UK of £268,349 and let's say that you want a 5% deposit. So that would be 268,349 times 0.05 to get our 5%. That would mean you need a deposit of £13,417. So in this second tab, you can completely customize the amounts you're looking to save. So you can create your own personal timeline. So let's input the amount we're looking for our deposit, 13,417, into the amount you want to reach box. And over here, we can input anything that we've already saved to that target. But let's just keep that at 0 for the time being. Let's say you're saving £50 a month toward your house deposit and you're just putting that into your bank account. So again, earning 0.13%, £50 at 0.13% would mean that it would take you 22 years to reach your goal and have your deposit. But if you were to invest that £50 every month into something like I mentioned earlier and achieve, say, an 8% return a year, you would have your deposit within just 13 years, saving you a whole 9 years off your timeline. And last but not least, I've put this another way in the third tab that we have down here, how much you need to invest monthly. Here I've swapped out a few things. So now on the left-hand side, we've got the number of years. We've still got the yearly return along the top, but now in the middle, that's given us the amount you need to save and invest every month to become a millionaire. So for example, let's say you're 40 years old and you want to be a millionaire by the time you're 60, so 20 years. Now, if you were just saving money and putting it into your bank account every month, again, assuming you'd get a 0.3% interest, you'd need to be saving around £4,000 every month. But if you were investing that and earning, let's say, 10% interest on that money, you'd only need to be putting in 1,306. That's a huge difference, but still quite a lot of money to be investing every month. So let's compare that to if you're 20, and again, you want to be a millionaire by the time you're 60. So now you've got 40 years to achieve your goal. Well, again, in the bank, you'd need to be investing almost £2,000 every single month. But let's compare that to an investment account, again, earning around 10%, you'd need to be investing only £157. That's an even bigger difference. And that's the power of starting to invest as early as possible. Now, you may be thinking, how do I actually do this and make these sorts of returns? Well, that's a whole separate topic on its own, but don't worry, I've got you covered. I recommend you watch my video about the key to investing and making a fortune, which runs through how powerful cheap index funds and regular investing can be. And don't forget some of the examples we went through earlier, like the Fidelity World Index Fund and the Vanguard product as well. I also made a video covering my top 5 index funds for 2022, and I'll link that up here and also in the description below, so make sure you watch that. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to hit the like button and comment below if some of these figures blew your mind, and I will see you in the next video.